This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Views expressed on the following program do not necessarily match those of WPSL. However, we're the culprits who've encouraged you in the first place to go ahead and like and share this show on social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because it's time for Joanne's Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce to present Joanne's World of Nutrition with Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope everyone's having an incredible morning. I'm super excited. It's that time of month where my friend Burt Goulding Jr. is on air with us. Good morning, Burt. How are you this morning?
Oh, it's a wonderful day.
Yes, and that's why I love having you on. You're always so positive, and for very early in California time, you're always so bright-eyed and ready to go. So I love it. Love it. And today's topic is perfect for you. I was going to do it last week, and I said, wait a second, Burt is the guy I need to do this topic. So the topic of today is going to be energy. Does that sound good? Does that sound like something you might know a little bit about? But Burt, we must do the breath work first, okay? So every month I'm going to change the style of breath work. So this month for January, we are doing 5.5 seconds in through the nose and 5.5 seconds out through the nose, the heart math breathing to make the heart coherence. And so Cliff is our in-house breathing expert, so he can count really well, 5.5. So everyone, Burt, you ready? All right, so relax the shoulders, just really drop them, relax we'll just do 2 times because, you know, Burt and I go on forever. So, all right, so everyone just really relax and just stay focused on the breathing, let out anything that doesn't feel right, and only using our nose. We're going to breathe in for 5.5 seconds and out for 5.5. And Burt and I are only going to do 2 rounds because we want to get into the topic, but we would absolutely love for all the listeners, which we're so thankful for, to continue on, because if you keep doing this for the next 55 minutes, you will feel a humongous, well, that's a New York word, a humongous difference at the end. All right, ready? Here we go.
Let everybody with the nostrils only breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, and let out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. In again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll throw in the half here.
Thank you very much. So Burt, this topic came up because, and by the way, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I keep forgetting. New Year. I've only written it one time, the 2023, so I keep forgetting. You know, now we don't do checks anymore. Everything's digital currency, so I don't put the date on anything. So Happy New Year. Did you have a good New Year's?
Yes. I'm so excited about 2023. So
I love it. You're always excited, so it's awesome. 2022, you always look excited too. So, is there anything that you're hopeful for?
I think that for some reason, just starting out the month of January, there are more people interested in doing something positive for their health than I've seen in past years. That's what I always look for. That's what I pray for, is that people will want to do something positive for their health. And I'm seeing that already this month.
I love it. And by the way, if you're a new listener, welcome to the show. Burt Goulding Jr. is the CEO of Positive Power Nutrition. And I mean, the name itself does get represented by Burt because he's extremely positive and he makes products that are very powerful. So definitely you want to take some notes today, because I definitely learn something every show, and he's been on 100 shows already. So let's continue on the learning process. But I definitely agree. I know it's only, what is it, the 11, I don't even know what is today's date, the 11th, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, 11 days and incredible positive energy I'm feeling. Just really people coming into the store really hopeful, optimistic. And, I'm hoping they don't go by the normal stats, which is, that very, really high elevation in the first, 7 to 10 days of January, and then a drop, right? So we want to keep that big push of that positive, great energy. And one thing I noticed at most of the stores that I shop at, which I'm pretty picky where I shop, is that there's a huge push for end caps of coffee, like coffee's on sale, every flavor, every kind, energy drinks, case stacks. And I'm like going, wow, like they're promoting something that really isn't the healthiest thing. And I know you have some strong opinions on coffee and energy drinks, but also I noticed too, kind of getting off starting with Thanksgiving, my really healthy um, food plan, that now I'm really getting back to where I have to have that carbohydrate fix. I won't go as bad as a donut and a coffee drink, but I still will lend towards, oh, wow, I need that carb to get my energy back up again. And that's what I feel like, a high percentage, almost like 95% of Americans are on this vicious roller coaster where it's either a caffeine source or a donut or a carb, sugar is masked in so many ways, or these energy drinks or these little shots that promise them health. But as you know, it's this vicious cycle to go on. That's why I call it the roller coaster. You're up, you're down. There's no homeostasis. There's no stability. So I'm hoping you can teach our listeners how to regain the body. So chronic fatigue, brain fog, just this general feeling of I need something to get through my day, how you can help us understand how the body works with energy, and where the energy potential works in our body and how to regain it. Could you help us with that? Because I feel like you're the pro on this subject. What do you
Well,
think?
a lot of people are asking questions about energy just starting this year. And that's another reason I'm so excited about 2023. They're actually saying, I think I want to find out what is subtle energy. And that's so important, is that you can't just say, I mean, the body runs on electricity, but you can't just say, well, let me hook up to some electronic device to my body and that will, somehow increase my energy. We get the subtle energy that our body needs through sunshine when it hits the skin. So it's important to allow. I mean, I know it's cold this time of the year, or colder than we're
We can
expected
handle
to,
it.
but we need to take off that jacket and have go out with a short sleeve shirt and just allow our arms and our face to just get that sunshine. Real energy, subtle energy, is what the body can use. And when it comes to subtle energy, it's measured on something called the Bovis energy scale. Bovis was the name of an amazing French physicist, so living in France and understanding physics. And so the Bovis energy scale is the subtle energy, and that's how we measure all of our supplements, as well as encouraging people to do things that don't drag the energy down. So the problem with doing some kind of a caffeine-based drink or coffee or whatever else is that you feel. I mean, I think we would know as children that feeling is not a feeling of energy. That's a feeling of panic. But we're identifying and we're saying, oh, I feel so energized after I had my, cup of coffee. And no, that's panic. That's the kind of energy that you would use to run down the street and climb a tree to get away from some, dog that was after you.
That's
But
right.
real energy is like a glow. It's this feeling that you close your eyes and you go, I almost imagine that my whole body is glowing, and a darker room, somebody could see me from across the way. That's what
Oh my God,
real
I
energy in
love
the
that,
body is.
Bert. That and that's why I love having you on the show because that is what I feel when I'm in homeostasis where I feel so light. It's not dependent on my weight. It's just this feeling of lightness, like you mentioned, like the glow, like you just feel like, whoo, I can carry through my day like so like lifted, you know? It's a great feeling.
You know, for I don't know how many hundreds of years, people would come up to a woman and say, you know, are you expecting? Are you pregnant? And it would be, you just have this glow about you
Yep.
because the body, to help create another body, human body inside of you, you have to have this tremendous high level of subtle energy because there is no cell division unless you have a high inner subtle energy and unless you're truly energized. Now, they don't encourage pregnant women to drink a lot of coffee or do any of those things because what that will
Nope.
do is lower your levels of subtle energy, and that will prevent cells um, in that are part of your body or a part of your being from dividing properly. Okay, so I mean, you have basically one cell that grows to be a trillion cells during the 9 months of pregnancy.
Wow, that's
So,
incredible.
and it starts out with one cell divides and becomes two, and then the two divide and become four, and it just keeps going. And as it's going, it's creating all of these amazing things. From a single cell, you end up getting brains and hearts and skin and fingers and toes and all these things. So subtle energy, the best way to describe that is to describe how all of us started. There's not anybody listening to this program that didn't start out as one cell. And you know, we had to have enough subtle energy. So you have something like reverse osmosis water, which is kind of the dividing line. It means that it's purified. It's not filtered. It's purified water. It means that you take something that comes in Southern California at about 540 parts per million total dissolved solid from the tap. So 540 is just awful because that 540 parts per million in the water could be anything from fluorine, chlorine, chloramine, or chlorine, or pharmaceuticals, or a lot of it is concrete where we live. It's just
Oh
dissolved
gosh.
concrete that's in the water. And so if you drink that, it really does lead to hardening of the arteries because when they say, oh, you know, your hardening the arteries is caused by cholesterol and calcium. Well, the calcium they're talking about is concrete because, you know, there's many different forms of calcium. We need calcium in the terms of healthy supplements that's pure calcium, but we don't need calcium that's like chalk for a chalkboard
How does
or
that end up in the now I know how dangerous the tap water is and I've heard of most of the things, but I've never heard of the concrete part. Wouldn't a filter block that?
um,
How does that come through those city municipal systems?
well, you would think a filter would, but we had a sediment filter in our home. You can go buy, you know, a GE sediment filter and set it up underneath the sink, and it would go from, you know, brand new pure white filter to dark brown. It looked like tobacco lungs or something. And but a part of that would still get through that sediment filter and end up going into our other distilled water machine was just concrete. And when I would go to clean it out every 2 weeks, I would have to take a hammer and chisel and actually chisel out formed concrete just like it was a patio. And this was making it through the sediment
Oh
filter
my gosh.
and into the water machine that was clearing it out, and we finally had pure water. But the subtle energy, Bovis energy number, the value for purified reverse osmosis water, which if you get it from a really reputable source like a gallon at a time from the store, the one we get is 1 part per million. So at 1 part per million, that means there's just no way that you're drinking fluoride or concrete or anything else because it's measuring the total dissolved solids. That means that 999,999 parts are pure hydrogen and oxygen. It's H2O. So the Bovis energy scale on that comes in at around 6,500. This is to give you an idea of what it is. That's the
Okay.
dividing line. If you take anything into your body that's less than 6,500 on that subtle energy level, then you're actually draining your energy. So there are so many products. I mean, you can see the difference between a real apple and a GMO or genetically modified organism or genetically engineered apple, is that the energy level drops from in the 20,000s all the way down below 6,500. And so having a GMO piece of fruit or vegetables or whatever is going to really drain the energy out of your body. Now, distilled water comes in at an average of 7,000 to 7,500. That's still pretty low. But when we have grass-fed beef, not just, I mean, grass all the way through, grass-fed
Right,
beef.
grass
A lot of
finished.
times,
Okay.
yeah, grass finished. Okay, so when you have that, or bison or buffalo or whatever, any of the really good meats, the pasture-raised chicken that is not fed grain, any of those kinds of good things, it's in the 8,000 to 10,000 range. Okay, when you go to good grains that have not been poisoned, and most of the wheat in the United States has been poisoned. That's why people think that they have celiac, or they think that they have gluten sensitivities. They're not sensitive to gluten because we test them. Out of 20 people that say they have gluten sensitivities, we have a computerized system that will go through and find out very quickly what the true sensitivity to the body is. And it turns out it's the mercury that's sprayed on the wheat. All wheat stored in silos in the United States since 2002 have had a fungicide, which is mercury based. So they're spraying it with mercury, and everybody is sensitive to mercury. And everyone should avoid wheat that's been in a silo, because it is mandated by the USDA that you spray mercury on wheat
All right,
stored
I
in a
have to
silo.
put my glasses back on to start taking notes. Like I tell everyone, I learned something new. So I always talk about the glyphosate that's sprayed on the grains because of drying them and how dangerous that is. Didn't know about what you just mentioned. So mercury-based fungicide?
Yep.
Is that
It's a
okay?
fungicide. They're saying that if you store wheat in a silo, you could end up with a fungus problem.
Which makes
So
sense. So
yeah.
they have
So,
to
but
put a
what they're doing
toxic thing.
is
Okay.
but if the fix is more dangerous than the original problem, you shouldn't be doing it. When they say that the cure is worse than the illness, so to speak. So, but you have grains that aren't polluted, and they're in that 10,000 to 15,000 range. And then you've got vegetables, which have a higher energy. Again, if it's not sprayed with chlorine, it's really difficult. Even though our family is doing pretty well on having more vegetables, it's just this convenience factor that people want to buy the bagged salad. It's the
Yep.
fact that seriously, you don't want to just take the lettuce or the tomatoes or the kale or whatever it is and wash it and cut it yourself, but you're going to buy it that it's already done. And so when they put it in that bag,
Yep.
they also spray chlorine and all kinds of chemicals on it, and preservatives and everything else. But if you have vegetables that aren't polluted, they're in that range above meat, above grains. So it's in that 20,000 or 15 to 20,000. And then fruits come above 20,000 in energy. So, I have people that won't even eat fruits. They're like, oh no, there's fructose, there's sugar in the fruits. And I'm like, it's not like the fake industrial manufactured sucrose that people should be scared of. So the fruit has the highest, and currently the highest record is a fresh picked raspberry, because once you pick or harvest the fruit or vegetables, every hour after it's been harvested, it will drop in energy level. So,
Wow.
and what's really sad about that is when you go to the store and buy an apple and it's not GMO, that there's a 99% chance that apple was harvested over a year ago. What they do is they harvest it and they put it into cold storage. And that happens with a lot of citrus also. So maybe this is not the direction you want to go with the energy, but it's
No,
important to know
no,
that.
this is exactly where I want to go. And I want to tell a quick story. Um, so my daughter, Scarlett, my stepdaughter, she was always saying to me that she could never eat apples. They made her sick and all this stuff. And at her mom's house, she wasn't experiencing the organic produce. So we went apple picking to a place that didn't spray. And she probably ate on average 10 apples that day because she was so excited. We brought a bottle of water, we pick it, run some water, wipe it on our shirts, and she'd eat them the whole day as we were apple picking. And she felt incredible. And then she renewed her faith in apples. And I said, Scarlett, sometimes it's not the fruit's fault, it's what we're doing to the fruit. So I do tell most of my clients to avoid fruit only because in our area, to buy the good stuff that doesn't go through 300 miles and days of since vine to thing, and so expensive. So I just make it budget worthy of making other choices. But you're right, if you can get your hands on fresh picked non-GMO organic produce, it is so life-giving and delicious and wonderful. But I feel like we've gotten so far removed from those moments, in our stores. So I'm just wanted to clarify that in case any of my clients are listening and going, wait, Joanne tells us to avoid fruit. It's because of those reasons. But yes, if I could afford a nice little container of raspberries every single day, they would definitely be eaten. Love it.
And the world record of any food of any kind is held right now on a fresh picked raspberry. It was tested for the subtle energy level within 5 minutes of being pulled from the vine to actually pick it, harvest it. And it comes in at 26,500. So that means all the other foods are lower. I mean, berries are the highest. You've got strawberries and blackberries and all these, boysenberries, all these great things. But a raspberry, for whatever reason, raspberry is not my favorite fruit, but I guess it should be because it comes in the
I
highest
love
energy.
raspberries.
Yeah, it's just really good. And again, by the time it's picked and gets to you, where we're at in Southern California, it'll say, oh yeah, product of Mexico. And you're going, okay, well, this at least is a week old. And it just keeps dropping and dropping and dropping. I mean, you can see that with people that will wash their strawberries and then they put them in the refrigerator. And then they learn not to do that because the strawberry will go from red to kind of a dark purple and start growing mold and everything else,
really quick.
hairy type things very, very quickly. But it's not, it's the water. You're using tap water to wash the strawberries, and the tap water comes in at 2,000, right? So 2,000 is below 6,500. It's dragging down the strawberries. So everybody says, well, don't wash it when you put it in the refrigerator. Well, yeah, because you don't want to expose it to anything that has a really, really low energy.
That makes total sense. What a great first half of the show. So when we come back, we are going to give you some easy solutions, okay? So we'll be right back about energy and with Burt Goulding Jr., Positive Power Nutrition. Hi, this is Joanne from Nutrition World and Wellness Center. I am really excited to introduce new guests and topics to my show every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. here on WPSL, where my listeners can call in on any topic. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to find it. We want to help you become the best version of yourself. We'll have naturopaths, coaches. I am looking forward to sharing my years of experience with my listeners so we can enjoy this life journey together.
Visit Joanne's Nutrition World in the Krass Square, formerly known as the Arcade Building, located at US 1 and Orange Avenue, across from Fort Pierce City Hall. Open Monday through Friday from 10 to 4, Saturdays 10 to 3. Taking appointments for the Wellness Center online at joannesnutritionworld.com or call 772-464-3598. Join Joanne Seeger as she guides the Treasure Coast to health, one person at a time, on Joanne's World of Nutrition, now on a new day, Wednesday mornings at 10 on WPSL.
I am so excited to share with all my listeners all the cutting-edge health topics of today. I look forward to hearing from you. Remember, it's a live call-in show. Any questions you have on health and nutrition, I look forward to answering.
Join us here for Joanne's World of Nutrition every Wednesday morning at 10 on WPSL.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
We now return you to Joanne's World of Nutrition. Once again, here's your host, Joanne Seeger.
Hey everyone, thank you for spending some time with us this morning. We have Burt Goulding Jr. from Positive Power Nutrition, and he really knows his stuff. He's a clinical nutritionist from California, CEO of Positive Power Nutrition, and really absolutely incredible information that I do learn every time. And we are talking about energy this morning. It's a big deal because energy, if it's controlled, which he's going over, calling a subtle energy. Thank you, Bert. It's going to lead to a better night's sleep, handling your daily stressors better, just really functioning at your higher capacity, kind of getting rid of brain fog, just really feeling well again. And so I know I'm feeling better and better every day. And I take a lot of Bert's advice on how to do that. So let's get into some solutions. So, hi again, Bert.
Hi.
All right. So now we hear all this energy potential of all these different foods. But what about if someone's saying, Bert, I'm not going to eat as well as you're describing all this grass finished beef and all these organic veggies and fruit. I'm just not going to do it. What else can they do?
Well, drink lots of purified or distilled water because that will increase the energy in your body more than food does. So many times we say, I just feel hungry. Let me look for a snack or a chip or whatever it is that we think we're hungry for. Most of the time, over 90% of the time, we're actually thirsty, but we no longer recognize what thirsty is. So I would say, before you reach for that snack, even if you say, well, I'm not going to eat, perfect or whatever, before you reach for, especially if the snack is not like a cherry tomato or a carrot stick or something like that, if it really is a cheese puff or something like that, before you do that, reach for a glass and drink 16 ounces or more. I see you have your water bottle there right next to you.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to drink 16 ounces or more of purified or distilled water. Why? Because that's truly H2O. That's how we get hydrogen and oxygen into our body to stay.
Okay.
It's not that we just breathe in the oxygen and then exhale carbon dioxide and some of the oxygen comes back out. But so drink the water first. Give yourself 10 minutes after you finish the 16 ounces. And then if you say, I really think I am hungry, well then, try to eat just the best you can. And I tell people, don't stress out. Stress is such a killer. I mean, I love that you start your shows with the deep breathing because that is a great way of helping to allow the body to release that toxic stress and keep only the good stress in our body.
That's right.
So that's really, really important. Drink more water. The other thing is that if you know about Cell Power, which is a dietary supplement, which now we're celebrating the 74th year of Cell Power. It was discovered in 1949. It's still made the same way that it was, but we've learned a few things. It's now all of the Cell Power that people are buying is now double strength. It used to be that the only way you could get double strength Cell Power was in other countries. But here in the US, we're now releasing it and selling it. It means that it used to have a bovis energy value of 6 to 6.5 million. But now by delaying bottling and shipping it for one extra year, it takes 7 months to make one batch of Cell Power.
Okay.
So for people that want overnight, quick, and no, that's not how you make it. That's not how you make a product like this. It takes a minimum of 7 months, but now we keep it a year and 7 months. We don't ship any Cell Power. We test it with a voltmeter for what's called ORP, or oxygen reduction potential, or oxidation reduction potential. And so what it does is when we ship it after a year and 7 months, it's coming in at 13 million on the bovis energy scale. We already said that the highest of any food is 26,500. So at 13 million for 72 years, Cell Power was the highest energy of any supplement sold and of any food, obviously, because food doesn't even make it
Right.
out of the 20,000 range. But 2 years ago, we were really shocked, and the people that do all of our subtle energy testing on all of our products, every product that we ship has a really, really high. If it doesn't have a super high Bovis energy level, if it's not the highest of any brand anywhere on the planet, we just don't make it. We just don't. We won't produce it. So what actually passed up Cell Power 2 years ago is the high energy C complex 1250. It's a
Ah,
powder in capsules. It's in vegan capsules. But
okay.
with this, it came in at 115 million. Um,
Holy moly.
I mean, for 6.5 million held the record for 70 years, and then we found out how by holding it a little bit longer before we bottle it and ship it, it went double up to 13 million. So that was
Okay.
another couple of years,
So
and now with
Bert,
the high energy C, that's super high.
that is incredible. And so I'm going to interrupt for a second because my listeners, I learned something else during my research. And if you go and just buy antioxidants that are synthetic, so if you're just trying to do your body good and you're loading up on all these synthetic C's and A's and E's and all these things, they actually lower your energy potential. So what Bert is saying is really critical to understand because just like a meal, 80% or more of your body's energy will go to that digestive system. And actually, in the most times, because we're eating such dead food, processed food, will actually take more energy away from our body. And the same thing with synthetic vitamins. If you use supplements that don't have a strong energy potential, you are lowering. So you're meaning well, you're going out there and you're buying all the things that you hear are great for your immune system and antioxidants, A, C, E. And, it's just unfortunately not doing what you're expecting it to do. So when Bert says that his C and his nutrients, like, I love his B complex and circulation factors, all these incredible products he has, he looks at them as not only natural, but what the energy potential is. So remember, energy is not just your ability to go running or, get out of bed. It's also, everything the body functions properly and effectively. So, all right, back to you,
Yes,
Bert.
no, that's beautiful. I love what you said, and so many people don't know that. First of all, your digestive system is trying to break down and digest something that will never digest. If it's synthetic, if it's a chemical-based so-called nutrient, which is not really a nutrient, but if it's chemical, what you just said, I mean,
Yeah,
your digestive system is spinning its wheels. It's like you're stuck in the mud. You're trying to get out of it, and
yeah,
so you're giving it more and more gas to the car, thinking that's going to help, and all it's doing is just digging you in deeper. And so the digestive system will just keep
yeah,
going and going and going. And you say, "I'm just so exhausted."
yeah.
And you say, "What do you eat?" And the person's like, "Well, wait a second. What does that have to do with it?"
Right?
Well, if you're eating
It's going
all,
into all the stress mode. And just like you said earlier, stress being that killer, it's because if your body can't adapt and bring it back into homeostasis, it doesn't have the tools to work with, it's just constantly running on empty. And I do your trick as far as now, I'm super loyal to the super silica now, so I hope you discuss that one. But the just when I feel like I gotta grab something because that's what we're trained to do since we were little, just grab something if you anything, boredom, reward, energy, whatever, that's how we're trained. But so now I try to listen to you and say, well, let me have a big glass of water, 16 ounces minimum. I do decide between cell power and silica depending on if I've had my few silica servings that day. And it usually makes me feel like not only clarity and energy, but I'm like, wait, there's no hunger. Like, there's no hunger. I feel fantastic. But if I had chosen a meal at a restaurant, I probably would have felt like I needed to go to sleep for 3 hours and taken a nap. So it's an incredible difference.
Yeah, this is a lot different show today. I don't think we've discussed most of any of these things. This
It's a
is
new year. There you
yeah,
go.
this is exciting to me because what we're talking about is, where does hunger come from? The true hunger feeling starts at the cellular level. So you can have good foods, good nutrients, good supplements in your body. It's been digested, it's in the bloodstream, it's going by the cells. And if there's not enough electrical energy at the cell membrane of every one of the cells, whether it's a brain cell, a bone cell, every, the as adults, we have 50 trillion to 70 trillion cells. So that means that from birth, which is about 1 trillion, we've increased, in size about 50 to 70 times. With all those cells, if the cell membrane doesn't have enough electricity, it's closed. And so all of that, the nutrients and all the good components in the food that have already been digested, if it's natural food, if it's real, it's going right by the cell membrane, but the cell membrane is locked. It's closed down. The doors are locked. You can't get in. With cell power, with the electricity that you're getting, and when you put 4 drops of cell power concentrate into 16 ounces or more of purified or distilled water, the water, we said purified, is 6,500. Okay. And you've got something that's 2,000 times the energy, or those concentrates. Those 4 little drops will actually turn the entire glass of water. It'll energize it 2,000 times in less than 10 seconds. Within 10 seconds, the entire glass of water is at 13 million, the whole thing. So now you're drinking that, it gets inside your body, it helps the cells open up, and you're finally getting the food and the good supplements and all the nutrients go inside the cell. That's the only time that the hunger part is turned off, is when it makes it in the cells.
That's
when it's
incredible.
in the bloodstream, that's not going to tell you, oh, I'm good now, I don't need to eat.
Right.
So when people say, oh, we just overeat so much in the United States, that's because our cells are closed. And so we keep thinking, well, that food I just had certainly didn't handle the hunger, or didn't do whatever, so I'll have some more. So I'll have some more.
Yep.
So I'll have some more.
I've been saying that for 30 years, Bert. I always say it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb. And even your Pepsin product, like, it's everyone, that is like, oh, well, let me just throw more B12 at it, or I might be anemic, let me throw more iron at it. I'm like, wait a sec, you've destroyed the acid in your stomach, so now you're not absorbing anything and your digestive function is halted, so throwing more synthetic nutrients won't do anything and could possibly hurt. So yeah, so I love the language you speak, and I love that you get to the root of everything, and all the products, the cell power, the super silica, the circulation, like, they all are geared towards getting the body all the tools it needs for homeostasis. And it doesn't matter what you're suffering with, everything will benefit. Everything. It doesn't matter what it is. And
it really is.
right.
Now, is it okay if I recommend a book to you?
Oh my gosh, yes, please, because I am trying to read 10 pages a day. So, okay, let me put my glasses on for this one.
Well,
Okay.
it
Healing is voltage.
Healing is voltage.
That
This
looks
is an
so
amazing,
familiar.
amazing book. It's from Jerry Tennant, MD, so a medical
I know
doctor.
the book, Bert. I know it.
MDH, which
Yeah.
is a homeopathic medical doctor. He was able to actually prove this. And if you just read the reviews of scientists around the world that have read this, they go, this should be basic elementary school, 1st and 2nd grade teaching to every single person in the world. Because what it's saying is that for the body to heal, you need to have, at the cellular level and in all your organs, you need to have 50 millivolts is the healing range.
Okay.
Okay. We, on all of our products, when I say we were testing it for the electricity, not just the subtle energy, which cell power comes in at 13 million, but for both cell power and super silica, we don't ship any batch out unless it has a minimum of 350,000 microvolts. So that's 350 millivolts right? In your water, it gets in there and it helps bring all the cells up to that healing range of 50 millivolts. So just in things that people can understand, even if they go, I don't understand Bovis energy scale. Okay, that's much more powerful because there is no upper limit on that. I mean, you can go 115 million, which is the highest now in the world of anything, which is a high energy C complex. But the more, the better. But when it comes to actual electricity measured in millivolts, the more, the better is not the key. You do not want to have 1 volt in your body. It needs to be 50 thousandths of a volt, and that's the healing range. Now, for sickness, it's that your cells have dropped down to 15 millivolts. He was able to test this over and over again, bring in all these other scientists from all the countries of the world to these seminars and everything that he did. He did a lot of this through the 1970s up into the early 2000s. But he was able to go ahead and show them at 15 millivolts is what every sick person has. And then some people drop to 5 millivolts. At that point, you don't have any defenses. It means that every virus, every harmful bacteria that you're exposed to goes right into the body, right into the cells, and that's where it causes the destruction that can actually lead to loss of life. So you have healing as voltage. The reason I was talking about that is that both my wife and I, my wife is a naturopathic doctor. We have a couple of those on our staff.
I didn't know your wife was a naturopathic doctor.
Yes,
Oh my God. Well,
And
she has to come in as a guest the next show. There we go.
Oh yeah, she talks to practitioners, health practitioners. We're working with acupuncturists because they understand energy flow. They understand, subtle energy is not Bovis energy to them, it's chi, and it comes from thousands of years ago in the Far East. And so they really understand this. And as they were starting to go, I just really need to get all the people taking cell power and super silica for all the days. If they're coming in for a weekly appointment of acupuncture, what that does is clear up the blockage in energy flow, but they need to be taking something that's higher to help restore the chi to everything, especially the kidneys.
That's
right. And to acupuncturists, the foundational organ, the most important organ in the body is not the heart, which we tend to try to say. Heart's important. Also, they are measuring the chi of the pericardium, which is the enclosure. It's like a Ziploc baggie around the heart, which is filled with water. So, fluids, clear bodily fluids are all in this enclosure around the heart. So the heart is constantly in water. Okay. All of our organs in our whole body are like fish. They're all in water. It's completely, the body is filled with clear fluids. Okay. So you have, both my wife and I are starting to read this. We have another naturopathic doctor on the team, part of our company that's in Texas. And
who I love dearly. I really do. She is so smart.
Oh, and she practices, and sees patients, several times a week, sometimes all day long. But she just loves the book Healing as Voltage. She had that as part of her thesis that she did for her doctorate. It was all of these things that there's just a tremendous amount of knowledge that's available.
Yeah.
But you have to really want to know. And if you get so busy, we think, oh yeah, being busy is good. And we get so busy that we can't even take care of ourselves.
Yeah, we distract us from what we really want. Yeah.
And then we get sicker and sicker.
I know.
And it's interesting that if you have a high enough electrical energy at the cellular level in your body, then the body will heal itself. It will actually repair anything. I haven't found any part of the body that can't be repaired. They used to say, well, be really careful if you hit your head against something or get a concussion or whatever, because it kills, millions of brain cells and your body can never, ever repair those. It's a one part of the body.
Yeah.
Well, they found out that was false about 25 or 30 years ago, that absolutely brain cells can grow back and they can be repaired.
All cells. All cells.
All cells, but they need what? What's the minimum voltage?
Oh, 6,500?
50 millivolts.
Oh, 50 millivolts. Okay, I'm gonna have to take notes again. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's the helios voltage. So if you start
I
understanding,
already put it on my cart. I already put the book in my cart, so I'm ready. And I really do think that it's one of those things, Bert. Sometimes, when you've been doing this so long, you forget things, right? It's like I'm not storing everything in my memory bank, but when it comes to the subject of energy, for a long time, people linked it to things that were new agey or like things that were just so inappropriate. I mean, we are energy. We are. And now I have clients, I'll put them in my pulse electromagnetic frequency room and have them on the mat doing meditation, and only 10 minutes, but like they'll feel incredible right afterwards. And I sometimes less is more. Like, you you don't have to really go into the science behind the energy, but just know that sometimes stillness and quietness actually will produce more energy than running around like a lunatic, in a gym, doing 20 machines. So it's just kind of crazy how that works, right?
yeah.
So.
I'm so glad we're talking about this today. I mean, it's
Me
just
too. And we're going to talk a lot more about it for this year. And I definitely feel there is much more confidence I have in discussing this with my clients and all my customers, because it's just it has to be told. It has to be told. And also the fact that there's a lot of other devices out there. Like, that's why I stopped using social media back in November. I barely touch my phone now. I'm barely on my phone, just a little research, and it's making the biggest difference in my life that I could never imagine how big of a difference it is. My whole day has shifted from not, and I was barely on it. Like, I am not big on social media, but I still was on it. And now nothing. It has no links to my world, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But you didn't discuss my super silica yet, which I'm obsessed with. So,
okay.
what is the energy potential of super silica?
Um, for 61 years, it came in at an average of 3 million, but it's now at 6.5 million because
Oh,
we're holding it.
good. So
We're
it's in the
holding it
top.
an extra. We didn't change the formula. All we did, and this was, most things we discovered just trial and error. It's like, oh, I can't believe this. Is that it takes 8 months to make super silica minimum. That's to get it to 3 million. It comes in now at double strength. It averages 6 million to 6.5 million for the super silica because we don't bottle it for a year and 8 months.
Wow.
Now
Okay.
that means that we're now working on stuff that's not going to even be shipped until the end of 2024.
Oh,
That's what we're making. It takes a
I love
long
it.
time for it to make, and it continues to grow in energy. So that comes in at 6 million. Now,
Okay.
there was an
So, Bert, I have
iridologist.
to interrupt you one more
Yeah.
time because we have Marlene on line 1. So we have a caller with a question or maybe a comment. Good morning, Marlene.
Good morning, Joanne. How
How
are you?
are you, my beautiful friend and loyal customer? So, Bert,
Well, good.
Marlene is one of your other biggest fans. She is using everything from your line. And so, Marlene, what are you calling Bert and I about this morning?
Yes, I actually have two questions. The first one is can you take too much cell power or super silica?
Did you hear that, Bert?
No, did she say
Okay,
can
so
you mix?
she
Can you
asked,
mix them?
can you use too much cell power or super silica? Great question, Marlene.
Yeah, super silica doesn't have an upper limit, so you can keep taking more. We had one ophthalmologist which was working with a patient, and his patient, she refused to have surgery when she had super high pressure glaucoma. I mean, it was really, really serious. It was up to 25 or 26 in pressure. And so he had her, she had to still have it in the proper formula, right? Which is 12 drops for every 16 ounces or more. But he got her up to where she was drinking 1.5 gallons a day of purified water with the super silica. And it actually helped the glaucoma pressure. At 5.5 weeks, it reached the point where the pressure had dropped back down in the normal range. So
That's
she didn't
incredible.
have that threat to our eyes. So super silica, there's not an upper limit. And for cell power, we are finding that 6 servings at 4 drops in each glass of 16 ounce. So you're drinking six pints of water or 3 quarts of water. But that is the sweet spot.
Okay.
Some doctors will go higher than that, but for a regular person taking it as a dietary supplement, 6 servings for adults is great. You can take less, but there's no advantage to going to 7 or 8 or 9 servings.
Okay, I like that, the sweet spot. So yes, and that's so how much are you taking, Marlene? I know you're so loyal to your regimen.
I'm trying to do 2 to 3 servings a day. Drinking the water. Sometimes 4, but so
Okay.
and I have seen a big difference. Even in my circulation, I do your super circulation formula too, and that's really helped out a lot. With
Wonderful.
both the super silica and the cell power. But I also have one more question
Sure.
about the.
We have 3 minutes, so we have time for one more
Okay.
question. Oh, 2 minutes.
Heard.
Go ahead.
Can you use ultraviolet light if you don't have reverse osmosis?
Oh, okay.
Does that help in the other situation with the water, purifying the water?
Okay, Bert, did you hear that?
Yes, no, the UV treatment to water is wonderful to kill any bacteria or fungus or whatever might be in the water. So that's what it does. It's very, very effective for, it doesn't purify the water, but it does kill the bad things that might be in it. But it needs to be where you test the water. I think everybody should have that. For $50, you can get a little lab equipment thing that is a TDS meter, meaning total dissolved solid. So the reason it has to be reverse osmosis or distilled is to get it down to 1 part per million or less of anything that could be in your water. So that means it's not just a filter, which only gets it down to usually 100 parts per million. Or most reverse osmosis under the sink might get it down to 30 parts per million, but you really want to get it down as close to 0 as you can.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a great answer.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Marlene. I love you. Bye,
Yeah, love
sweetie.
you too. Have a good day.
You too. Bert, what an incredible show. Thank you so much. I will definitely talk to you next month. And we do have to, tell your wife that we would love to have her on air too. I'm sure it'll be a fun show. So thank you so much and have a great week.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Talk to you next week.
You've been listening to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Joanne's Nutrition World. US 1 and Orange Avenue across from City Hall in the Krass Plaza, formerly known as the Arcade Building. Safe historic arcade. Well, hey, this is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast, webcaster to the world on Google Home, Alexa, and of course the TuneIn app on your smartphone.